Hey, what's up, everybody? In the beginning itself, I would like to tell you a quote. History repeats itself. First as tragedy, second as farce, said by Karl Marx. I feel today what we are suffering, Covid-19, it's just the sort of 1918 pandemic. In this video, we are going to see one of the horrors that shook the world. When humans were showing hatred to each other, killing and fighting World War I. It was just a viral infection called Spanish flu. A report says this disease affected more than the number of people who died in the World War I and II. And this flu killed much more people in 24 weeks than AIDS or HIV killed in 24 years. All this happened because of human errors and their greed. And most of the time, the youngsters escape all these sorts of pandemics. But in this case, they were the ones got affected the most. And there are some hypotheses which say about the source of this virus. And this flu spread across the world in 4 stages, which are also called as 4 waves. Let us jump into the video and see one by one. Now let us see the name of the virus and the symptoms for this disease called Spanish flu. Influenza pandemic is caused by H1N1 influenza A virus, and its most common symptoms include high fever, runny nose, sore throat, muscle and joint pain, headache, coughing and fatigue. In children, vomiting and diarrhea, and these symptoms start to appear after 2 days of exposure to the virus. At a stretch, this virus shook the northern hemisphere for 15 months, affecting almost 500 million people, both soldiers and civilians. The estimated total population at that time in 1918 was 1.8 billion, whereas this virus affected 1/3 of the world's population. The total number of deaths were 17 million to 50 million, possibly as high as 100 million. Which makes this disease one of the deadliest pandemic in the human history. Now let us see why this disease was named as Spanish flu, whereas there is no relation between the name of this disease and the origin of this disease. As I have already mentioned, at the time of the origin of this disease, all the humans were fighting World War I. This infectious disease was first documented in United States of America, exactly Fort Riley, Haskell County, Kansas, and in New York City, as well as France, Germany, and United Kingdoms. Here, the human error supported this disease to grow as a pandemic. And all these countries who were fighting fiercely World War I minimized the early reports, that is, completely hid the early reports of this disease from the public. Likewise, whatever China did in COVID-19 case. But one of the countries which remained neutral at that time gave full freedom to report it in the newspapers. That was Spain. And the reporters wrote it was a grave illness of King Alfonso XIII, who was reigning Spain at that time. And these stories created a false impression that Spain was greatly hit by this pandemic disease, giving rise to the name called Spanish flu. Whereas in reality, it has no connection with the origin of this disease. Youngsters always have got a stronger immune system. Normally, any sort of influenza outbreaks kill children and the old aged. It doesn't affect youngsters much. But in this case, it affected the youngsters most. And there were 2 reasons given by the scientists. Number 1. As soon as the deadly virus gets into a human body, that is nothing but a host, it starts to replicate itself. It multiplies its number, during which it triggers cytokine storm, which affects the stronger immune system. What are these cytokines? Cytokines are nothing but type of proteins which play a major role in cell signaling. Due to this virus, one's body triggers high level of cytokine, increasing its number more than the required number in our body, which results in cytokine storm, where the body starts to attack its own cells and tissues instead of fighting off the bacteria or virus, which is also believed in COVID-19 case, which affects a stronger immune system, nothing but youngsters. And the second reason is malnourishment, overcrowded camps and hospitals, and poor hygiene due to war, which promoted the virus to cause superinfection. So what is superinfection? Superinfection means an infection occurring on top of earlier infection. This virus affected the world in 4 stages, which are also called as 4 waves. Why it is compared with the wave? Let us just imagine we are standing on the seashore. You can observe wave begin to appear in the sea and starts rising and reaches the peak and hits the shore, and it goes back. Likewise, this disease also hit the world 4 times. First wave started in the month of February in 1918. In United States alone, 75,000 deaths were reported related to this disease. And one thing to remember, during the first wave, sick and old were the most affected, while younger and healthier recovered easily. It also affected other countries. I would like to mention a few names of the other countries: Germany, France, United Kingdoms, Spain, etc. And the second wave, deadly second wave. And the second wave started in the month of August 1918. And by this time, virus had mutated very well and became more deadly. They followed 2 types of strategies to control the disease as well as to fight the war. The first one is for the civilians and the second one is for soldiers. First one, civilians' life. Those who were very ill stayed at home, and those who were mildly ill continued with their daily routine. Whereas soldiers, those who were mildly ill stayed where they were and fought the war, but severely ill were moved to the hospitals on crowded trains, which helped the virus to spread vigorously across the world. Here we should know an important thing: people who were affected and survived by the first wave escaped the second wave due to developed immune power. But those who escaped the first wave got into the second wave. Most of them were killed because of lower immune power. And the second wave started to disappear in the month of November 1918. The third wave hit Australia and entire Europe and United States of America in the year 1919 from January to June, resulting hundreds of thousands of deaths, which was less deadly than the second wave. And the fourth wave occurred in the year 1920, affecting New York City, United Kingdoms, and some South American islands. Mortality rate was very low compared to the other 3 waves. They had no intention of stopping the war for saving the human lives. Rather, they were very greedy to achieve their goal. And I'm not mentioning each and every country did the same. There were countries, there were soldiers who gave their life for saving the people. And I respect their martyrdom. And where did the virus come from? And what are the things said about the source of virus? And they haven't found the exact source, but only the hypothesis. And the hypothesis about the source of this virus was given by John Oxford. There are 3 things said about the sources of this virus. First one, in his studies, he found that this virus existed in the late 1916. According to him, this virus spread from birds, mutated and migrated to pigs and chickens, which were used for feeding hundreds and thousands of soldiers who were fighting the war. And the second one, the source could be China. There is a reason why they say Spanish flu might have come from China. The reason is one of the countries which got less affected was China. And the virology expert Cloud said this virus originated in China, due to which people developed immunity, resulting in less mortality rate. This virus gone from China to US, Boston, where it mutated and took over the entire world. And the third source could be mobilization of 96,000 Chinese laborers to work behind British and French lines, which was rejected by CMA in the year 2016. CMA, nothing but Chinese Medical Association. Here I feel like telling you something. Whatever they did just yesterday, they will not agree today. Will they agree after 100 years? I don't think so. Now, let us say how many people got affected by this disease and how many of them died. As I have already mentioned, 500 million people were affected by this pandemic disease. Before 2005, mortality estimation was 25 million to 39 million people. And in 2005, they estimated this disease could have killed 50 million to 100 million. But in 2018, they estimated 17 million people might have been killed. I'm not afraid of these diseases. These diseases may come and go. But I'm afraid of the division among the people, the division among the humans. Humans are divided due to caste, religion, language, and color, racism. If we could eliminate these diseases from our heart and mind, Even if thousands of pandemic diseases appear on Earth, they'll just vanish and humanity can survive. And I know very clearly there is a lot of difference between human being and being human. If you agree with me, type yes in the comments below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you think your friends also should know about Spanish flu, please share the links with them. If you want me to talk about any of the topics that you are interested in, please leave the topics in the comments below. Note, it need not be physics or science. Thank you for watching. Love you all. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.